Hey y'all, hello my divine ladies. Welcome. So, I feel like this is a topic that needs to really reach women everywhere, especially because as women we tend to be, emotional creatures, and we base everything off of our emotions, our feelings, and all these whatever, right? And because we base everything off emotions and fairy tales or whatever the case is, we always feel like when somebody does us wrong or something like that, or where we feel unloved or unworthy, that it's the other person's fault as to why we feel that way, right? It's like, if somebody upsets you, somebody mistreats you, something, it's like, and then, naturally it'll make you feel like, oh my God, like I feel like this, I feel like that, or whatever. And I find that women who learn to cultivate emotional independence are more likely, not only will they age gracefully, but are more likely to understand that it always depends on how they feel about themselves, because no one has ever done anything to you. And it's not to neglect your feelings of how you felt why somebody did this or that, but no one can actually, emotionally make you feel any way. No one is responsible for your feelings apart from you. And if you really want to be happy in life or really feel love and have that power, you can no longer be a victim. You literally have to take responsibilities for your own emotions. Women out here believe that if she's financially independent, it will make her happy. But those women end up more stressed, overworked, underappreciated, because they feel like they got to work to prove how strong they are when in fact they aren't. They're more susceptible to feeling um, negative emotions toward themselves because they're like, oh my God, I'm doing all of this and I'm not getting appreciated for it. But no one has the power to hurt us emotionally unless we hand that power to them. It's almost an illusion. It's a reaction to their behavior. And it's always stems back down to our own insecurity. When you constantly feel offended, constantly feel triggered, constantly disappointed, you constantly make yourself a victim to someone else's abuse and not giving power to someone else to treat you anyway. And when a woman is more emotionally dependent on herself, she doesn't allow somebody to affect her mood because we know not to take it personally. When someone is mean to you, you naturally react by feeling sad or unhappy or whatever. But at the end of the day, we always have a choice how to interpret a situation. I literally had this conversation with my mother earlier when she was walking. She was like, oh, this woman, this woman didn't even see me. She almost ran me over, and I just can't stand, you know, and she wanted to say it like, oh, I can't stand black woman because it happened to be a black woman that almost ran her over, or whatever the case is. And I said, Mom, I said, don't take it personally. I'm like, think about it like she didn't hit you. Maybe she was, maybe she had to rush to go tend to a sick child, or maybe her mother was hurt or something. Whatever the reason was, maybe she was in a rush and she didn't even see you. But don't take it like she personally meant to try to run you over. And she's like, you know what? You're right. You're right. I said, don't always look at things in a negative aspect like, oh, someone's out to get you, someone's out to hurt you, someone's out to do that. Don't look at it that way. The woman probably didn't even see you, and she probably would think, oh my God, I maybe hit that, sorry, but she's probably in a rush to go do something else. Whatever it is, we have the choice to whether let that affect us and ruin our whole day, like, oh, this person did this, and or they cut me off when I was driving. We literally have that choice. And I always say this, somebody who's truly happy is incapable of being mean. And someone who is mean is deeply unhappy within themselves. So we start naturally learning to have compassion for how someone behaves because it has little to do with us. How somebody acts, how somebody is, has little to do with us. Someone's external behavior will show you how they feel about themselves. When you see a woman out here or a man who's being nasty, is being disgusting, or whatever the case is, that has nothing to do with you. We have that choice to personally take it in, like, oh my God, because that's what women do a lot when they feel like they depend their emotions on somebody else. How somebody else does or what somebody else is acting like, that'll determine how they feel about, the rest of their day. You can't be upset when someone else is unhappy. When someone is judgmental, it has a lot to do with their own insecurity, their lack of self-worth or confidence. They judge others to distract themselves from their own negative self-judgments. It's a lot easier for someone to judge somebody else, to be like, so they don't have to focus on themselves, like, oh, look at this girl, she's so skinny, she needs to eat, or look at her, she's so overweight, or da da da. Like, they feel that if they judge them, they don't have to look at themselves. And it just shows internally how they feel about themselves. They're actually hurting. So you take your own power back the moment you become responsible for your own emotions. Because the only thing that really matters is what you believe about yourself. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks. And that's why I even say with social media, it can be so toxic and poison because you constantly compare yourself to other people. Oh my God, this person's living a life better than me, or whatever the case is. You constantly judge yourself. And as long as we're dependent on others to make us feel happy, to feel loved, to feel secure or confident, we find ourselves disappointed time and time and time again. This is what happens when you become emotionally dependent on somebody else. You get disappointed because you're expecting this person to make you feel good about yourself. And when you build your house on sand, the rain can wash it away. But when you build your house on a solid foundation, no wind, no rain, no snow can move it. Your house is your self image. If you depend on others, it would always crumble. You have to build your image on self love, on solid foundation. And when you build your self love, your image on how you feel about yourself, there's nobody who can destroy it. There's nobody who can move it. Nothing can move that. How somebody acts has nothing to do with you. How somebody feels about you has nothing to do with you. Being emotionally independent gives you power because you no longer have to feel any type of ways. You no longer give power to someone else to make you sad, to make you feel hurt, to make you cry. You don't give that power to nobody else. If women had the same energy that she did to be financially independent, with being emotionally independent, she would have the immense amount of power of love for herself. We're taught wrong. We're taught that, oh, we need to be, as women, we need to be financially independent. That's the only way you're going to be happy. And it's wrong because any woman who I know who's financially independent, what is she looking for? Love. That's the first thing she's looking for outside of herself. I got all this money, I got my house, I got my car, but I don't have love because they're mostly trying to depend that on somebody else. That doesn't have power if you can't depend on your own happiness. That's why you see people when they have all this money, all this, and you're like, oh my God, she's famous. She has this, she has that. But then she'll still end up, committing suicide. And you feel like, oh my God, what happened? Because she was depending her emotions on somebody else. She gave her power away for somebody else to make her feel good. And that's backwards. You don't have power when you're giving it to somebody else. So same reason why women feel miserable when they go to work, because they know they're giving their power to somebody else to pay them to be there. I'm giving this person power. So of course they're going to be miserable. Of course they're going to be unhappy because they're giving the power to somebody else to make them feel valuable. I don't know about y'all, but that is not a way to live. That is not a way to live. You literally have to build that emotion for yourself. This is why I tell women, being selfish helps you, because you no longer try to, make somebody else happy or depend on someone else to make you happy. You can make yourself happy. That's where all the power is. Making yourself happy. Not feeling the need that if this person doesn't do this, I'm going to be unhappy. If this person doesn't, it's like, if it's not affecting you physically, there's no point of giving that power to somebody else. Ever. And I'm telling you, women who understand the power of being emotionally independent will truly be happy, because they know they don't have to rely on anyone else emotionally to make them feel good about themselves. Anyways, I hope this reaches people that it needs to reach, because at the end of the day, we have the choice. You can either be the victim or to be the victor. And you always feel like things are happening to you and you're always a victim, you always will be one. You have to have that mentality where everything always works out for you. Everything. Always have that energy where everything always works out for me. I'm a lucky woman. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Everything always works out for me. Everything always works out for me. Everything always works out for me. You literally have to tell yourself that every single day. Everything works out for me. I'm a lucky woman. What? Everything always works out for me. Somebody who disappears from your life, you don't chase, you don't cry, you don't do nothing about that, because sometimes things get taken away so you can get something better. That's the type of mentality you need to have, so you can always be in control of your emotions. And when you're in control of your emotions, I'm telling you right now, that's where the real power lies. Not giving it to somebody else, but giving it to yourself. And women who don't know how to be selfish, they're not going to be happy, because they're constantly giving their power to somebody else to make them feel good. Anyways, ladies, thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate y'all. Ladies, at the end of the day, you have the choice whether you want to be happy or not. Nobody has that power over you. You have that choice. So be happy, be in receiving mode. And as always, ladies, stay divine.